20 years, Marcus. 20 years I raised our daughter alone while you were living your perfect life.
Mom, please, let him speak.
I know I can't undo the pain I caused.
When her billionaire husband walked out for another woman, she thought the worst pain of her life was behind her. But 20 years later, his sudden return, with desperation in his eyes, shattered everything she thought she knew. The night he left was etched into Evelyn's memory like a scar that never faded. She had been only 32, seated at the mahogany dining table set for two, her hand resting on the silver fork she'd polished just for him. Across the table, the empty chair seemed to mock her. Outside their sprawling estate, the city lights twinkled with indifference, while inside, her world collapsed with every word he uttered. "I can't do this anymore," Marcus had said, his voice clipped, rehearsed. "I've found someone else. She makes me feel alive." Those words cut deeper than any blade. Evelyn remembered the smell of roasted lamb still steaming on the platter, the soft glow of candles trembling in the draft, the clock's relentless ticking. She sat frozen, her mind refusing to process how her once loyal husband, the man she had built a life with, was choosing someone else. She didn't scream. She didn't beg. Instead, tears had rolled silently down her cheeks as he turned and walked away, his shoes clicking against marble, the sound echoing in her chest long after the door shut. That was 20 years ago. The years that followed were not kind, but Evelyn refused to crumble. At first, the shame was unbearable, whispers from neighbors, pity from friends, cruel headlines splashed across society pages. Billionaire leaves devoted wife for younger woman. She learned to lower her gaze in grocery stores, to steel her spine when acquaintances pretended sympathy but savored her humiliation. But time hardened her resolve. She poured herself into raising her children, Amara, just 12 at the time, and James, barely 9. They were her anchor, the reason she kept waking each morning. When Marcus stopped calling, stopped sending letters, and eventually stopped supporting them, Evelyn found ways to survive. She sold jewelry, took consulting work, leaned on skills she had long buried under his shadow. Slowly, she built a modest but dignified life. Gone was the glittering estate, replaced by a warm townhouse with ivy climbing the walls. Gone was the chauffeur, replaced by Evelyn's second-hand sedan. Yet the laughter of her children filled the rooms, and in their eyes she found her worth again. Years blurred into decades. Amara became a lawyer, sharp, articulate, driven by the memory of her mother's sacrifice. James became an architect, designing homes that blended strength with grace, much like the woman who raised him. Evelyn herself embraced her independence, volunteering at women's shelters, mentoring others who knew the sting of abandonment. She thought she had buried Marcus with the past. Until that night. It was a brisk autumn evening when Amara arrived at the townhouse, her heels clicking urgently on the pavement. Evelyn was in the kitchen, her hands deep in dough, preparing bread the way her mother once taught her. She looked up, startled by the knock, and opened the door to find her daughter breathless, eyes wide with disbelief. "Mom," Amara whispered, her voice trembling. "He's back." Evelyn's hands went slack, flour dusting the air like smoke. For a moment, she thought she had misheard. But when James entered moments later, his expression grim, she knew it was true. Marcus was back. 2 decades gone, and suddenly the man who shattered her life had returned. That night, Evelyn lay awake, the ceiling fan spinning lazily above her. Her mind raced with questions. Why now? Was he sick? Broke? Alone? Did he expect her to welcome him back with open arms, as though 20 years of silence could be erased? Her heart, scarred but steady, thudded in her chest. She thought of the children he abandoned, the birthdays missed, the tears she had wiped alone. She thought of the life she had built without him, the dignity she had earned. And yet, buried deep within, was a flicker of something she couldn't name. Fear, anger, maybe even curiosity. As dawn broke, Evelyn rose from her bed, wrapped her robe tightly, and stared out the window at the city skyline. She knew one thing for certain: his return would not pass quietly. And she was no longer the woman he once left behind. If you were Evelyn, how would you feel after 20 years? Anger, curiosity, or indifference? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Welcome back, my incredible viewers. Your comments from the last video have been absolutely overwhelming. I can see how deeply you're all connecting with the story, and the theories you've been sharing are absolutely brilliant. Some of you are surprisingly close to the truth of what's coming next. But before we continue, don't forget to smash that like button if you're enjoying what you're seeing. Your support means the world to me and helps this channel grow. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss any of our uploads. We're building an amazing community here, and I don't want you to miss out on what's coming. And please, share this video with your friends, family, or anyone who would love this type of content. The more people we can bring into this community, the better it gets for everyone. Your engagement in the comments has been incredible, and I love reading every single one of your thoughts and theories. Keep them coming. Now, let's go in depth into the story. The day Evelyn saw him again was unervingly ordinary at first. The sun had just begun to dip, painting the streets in amber, when she returned home from the women's shelter where she volunteered. She carried a canvas bag filled with donated blankets, her steps slow but steady. She pushed open the ivy-framed gate of her townhouse, expecting quiet. But quiet wasn't what she found. There on the front step sat Marcus. Her breath caught in her throat. He was hunched over, elbows resting on his knees, hands clasped tightly together as if he were holding on to the last thread of his dignity. The years had not been gentle to him. His once sculpted face now bore deep lines. His hair, once jet black and thick, was streaked with gray. The expensive suits he used to flaunt had been replaced with a wrinkled jacket, his shoes scuffed and dull. He looked up as the gate clicked shut behind her. Their eyes locked. "Evelyn," he said, his voice a rasp of its former confidence. For a moment, she couldn't move. Memories flashed in fragments. The night he left, the silent tears, the hollow birthdays. Her grip tightened on the bag until the straps bit into her skin. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice sharp, though her chest tightened with the weight of 20 years. I needed to see you," he stammered. "Please, just a few minutes." Her instinct screamed to turn and walk away, to leave him on that step with his ghosts. But something, curiosity perhaps or the need for closure, rooted her in place. Inside, the living room felt smaller with him in it. The cozy space filled with framed photos of Amara and James, their graduations, family holidays, their laughter frozen in time, now stood as silent witnesses to the confrontation. Marcus's gaze lingered on those frames, his expression a mix of regret and longing. "They've grown," he murmured, almost to himself. "They grew without you," Evelyn replied, her tone cutting. He winced but didn't look away. "I deserve that." Silence stretched between them, thick and unyielding. Finally, he spoke again. "I made mistakes, Evelyn. Big ones. I thought leaving would give me happiness, freedom, but it cost me everything. The woman I left for, she's gone. The money, the empire I built, it's slipping through my fingers." And now his voice broke, and for the first time she saw tears in his weary eyes. "Now I have nothing." Evelyn's jaw tightened. Nothing? The word echoed bitterly. He had left her with nothing too, except 2 children, unpaid bills, and wounds that took decades to heal. "You walked out," she said quietly, though her words trembled with steel. "You didn't just leave me, you left them. Do you have any idea how many nights Amara cried herself to sleep? How many times James asked where his father was? And you dare to sit here and tell me you have nothing?" Marcus's shoulders slumped further, his gaze falling to the floor. "I don't expect forgiveness," he whispered. "I only came to see if there was anything left of us. Anything at all." Evelyn let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. She studied the man before her, once untouchable, now broken. The shock wasn't just that he had returned, it was that he had returned like this, stripped of the arrogance that once defined him. The front door creaked open, and Amara stepped inside, her briefcase in hand. She froze at the sight of him, her face paling. "You," she spat, dropping the case. "What is he doing here, Mom?" Marcus rose unsteadily to his feet. "Amara." "Don't," she snapped, her voice sharp with years of repressed anger. "You don't get to say my name like that. You don't get to be here." Evelyn placed a calming hand on her daughter's arm, but her own heart pounded. James appeared moments later, drawn by the commotion, and his reaction was no softer. "You've got nerve," James said coldly. "After 20 years, you just walk back like nothing happened? What, you want a medal for showing up?" Marcus's lips parted, but no words came. His children's rejection was harsher than any insult Evelyn could have delivered. And in their eyes, she saw her own strength reflected, the strength she had instilled in them all those years he was gone. When the children stormed upstairs, Evelyn turned back to him. You wanted to see us? Now you have. But don't think for a moment that walking back into this house erases 20 years. His face crumpled, the weight of his mistakes pressing down visibly. Please, he whispered. Just give me a chance to explain. To make it right. Her pulse quickened. She didn't know if she wanted to hear his explanation, or if she wanted him gone forever. But one thing was certain, his return wasn't just a visit. It was the start of something that would change everything. If someone who betrayed you returned decades later, would you give them a chance to explain, or close the door forever? Share your answer in the comments. The days after Marcus's return were a storm Evelyn hadn't anticipated. Her once steady life, marked by routine, love from her children, and peace she had carved out, was now unsettled. Marcus lingered on the edges, calling, showing up at the shelter where she volunteered, even waiting outside the townhouse in the rain, as though persistence alone could undo 2 decades of absence. Evelyn's heart was torn between fury and something she hated to admit, curiosity. What had truly happened to him? What did he expect from her? One evening, she sat at the kitchen table, her hands wrapped around a mug of tea that had long gone cold. Across from her sat Amara, her sharp eyes still burning with anger. Mom, why are you even entertaining this? Amara demanded. He left us. He didn't just make a mistake, he abandoned us. We don't owe him a second of our time. Evelyn sighed, her gaze dropping to the swirling steam. I'm not entertaining it, she said softly. But part of me wants answers. Don't you? Answers won't change the fact that he missed 20 years, Amara shot back. Do you think I forgot crying myself to sleep on my 13th birthday? Or James asking where Dad was at every soccer game? He doesn't get to show up now and pretend he cares. Before Evelyn could respond, James walked in, overhearing enough to chime in. Amara's right. Let him stew in his regret. We've moved on, we don't need him. Their words struck Evelyn like darts, yet she couldn't ignore the faint ache in her chest. She had moved on, yes. But the ghost of Marcus still lingered. That weekend, Evelyn reluctantly agreed to meet him at a quiet cafe. She chose the place deliberately, public, so she could walk away at any moment, but intimate enough for conversation. When she arrived, Marcus was already there, his hands trembling slightly as he stirred a cup of coffee he hadn't touched. You came, he said, almost in disbelief. Don't thank me, she replied curtly, sliding into the seat opposite him. Say what you came to say. Marcus swallowed hard. When I left, I thought I was chasing happiness. The woman I went to, Clara, she promised me adventure, freedom, a life beyond responsibility. I thought I was in love. He paused, shame flickering across his face. But it wasn't love. It was lust, ego, stupidity. She left me years ago. Took half of everything I had. Evelyn's jaw tightened. So you came crawling back because you lost her? No, he said quickly, leaning forward. I came back because I lost you. I thought I'd find happiness elsewhere, but the truth is, I never stopped thinking about you. About us. And about the family I abandoned. His voice cracked. Evelyn, I regret it every single day. Her chest tightened, but she fought to keep her expression cold. Regret doesn't erase the past. I know, he whispered, but maybe it can help shape the future. As Evelyn sat in silence, anger warring with sorrow, she noticed a young couple at a nearby table laughing together. The woman leaned into her partner, her eyes glowing with trust. Evelyn's throat constricted. She had once been that woman, glowing trusting, before Marcus stripped it all away. Do you even know what you did to me? Evelyn asked finally, her voice trembling but strong. Do you know how small I felt, how worthless, watching the man I gave everything to walk out without looking back? Marcus's eyes glistened. I was a fool, he admitted. A coward. And if I could change it, I would. But his confession did not soothe her, it reignited her fire. You can't, she snapped, her hands clenching around her mug. You can't bring back those nights I held our children as they cried. You can't bring back the years of humiliation, the sacrifices I made alone. The cafe fell silent around them, as if the entire world was listening. Marcus bowed his head, defeated. The confrontation did little to resolve anything, it only deepened the tension. Back home, Evelyn confided in her best friend, Grace, who had stood by her through everything. "He's trying to wedge himself back into your life," Grace warned. "You've built yourself up, Evelyn. Don't let him drag you back down." "I know," Evelyn admitted, her eyes clouded. "But part of me wants him to feel the weight of what he's done. Not just regret it quietly, I want him to face it." Grace's eyes narrowed. "Then maybe that's your answer. Don't forgive him. Make him face it." Evelyn chuckled softly, shaking her head. "I didn't do it to be a legend. I did it because it was time." "But legends never set out to be legends," Grace replied. "They just choose courage when it matters most." Meanwhile, Marcus disappeared from the social spotlight. Whispers spread that his fortune had crumbled, that the woman he had left for had drained him and moved on years ago. Some said he had been betrayed by business partners, others claimed it was karma. Whatever the truth, one thing was certain: he was no longer the man the world admired. And Evelyn? She flourished. Invitations poured in, charity events, speaking engagements, interviews. She wasn't just known as the woman Marcus abandoned. She was celebrated as a survivor, a role model, a force of resilience. One afternoon, Amara surprised her with a framed magazine cover. Evelyn's portrait graced the front, her navy gown shimmering under the headline, "Strength, Grace, and Power, the woman who rose above betrayal." Evelyn's breath caught as she traced the letters with her fingertips. It wasn't vanity that made her proud, it was vindication. For years, she had carried the weight of his betrayal in silence. Now, the world saw her not as broken, but as whole. Weeks later, Marcus showed up one last time. Evelyn found him waiting at the edge of the park where she often walked. He looked smaller somehow, his expensive jacket hanging loose, his face gaunt. "I just wanted to say goodbye," he said quietly, his eyes downcast. "I know now there's no place for me in your life. But I needed you to know, I truly loved you. I was just too blind to see it when it mattered." Evelyn studied him for a long moment. The man before her was no longer the arrogant husband she once knew. He was just a man, flawed, regretful, and broken by his own choices. "I believe you," she said gently. His eyes flickered with surprise. "But believing you doesn't mean I want you back. Love without respect isn't love at all. And you taught me that the hard way." Marcus's shoulders sagged, but he nodded. "I understand. Goodbye, Evelyn." "Goodbye, Marcus," she replied, turning toward the park path lined with golden leaves. As she walked away, the autumn wind swirled around her, carrying both the chill of endings and the warmth of new beginnings. She felt lighter than she had in years, her step steady, her heart unburdened. Evelyn returned home to the laughter of her children, the aroma of dinner filling the townhouse, the life she had built with love and determination. Sitting at the table, surrounded by those who mattered most, she realized that Marcus's return hadn't shattered her life, it had completed it. He had come back seeking redemption, but it was she who had found it. Do you think Evelyn was right to let Marcus walk away without forgiveness, or should she have given him another chance? Share your thoughts below. Thanks for watching till the end. We know you loved this story, and there are many more thrilling ones waiting for you. Just click on the video on your screen to dive into the next chapter.